after being hit by my boss's Maybach. I accidentally heard his inner thoughts. What was that thing that suddenly hit my car just now? It seems to be my future wife? Wife. Are you okay? I will send this broken car to the repair shop for scrapping tomorrow. No, I'll go this afternoon. I rubbed my aching buttocks and sat on the ground, forgetting to react for a moment. The boss hurriedly got out of the car, and the voice in my head continued, "Why isn't she moving? Was she hit and broken by me?" I remember I was preparing to park and should be driving slowly. It was my wife who rushed up on a little yellow bike. It should be. Right? No. My wife is so delicate, and must be very afraid of pain. I have to take her to the hospital quickly. The voice stopped abruptly at this moment, and Enzo stood in front of me. He bent down and helped me up. His expression was indifferent and his words were calm. "Are you okay? Shall I take you to the hospital?" I looked up at him blankly. Under his cool gaze, I unconsciously swallowed. Enzo's hand holding me tightened. Did she just swallow? Is she coveting my beauty? It's not in vain that I dress so handsome every day. Finally, I can attract my wife. But why is her expression so shocked? Does she think my driving skills are poor? Woo-woo. One for my image. No, at the end of the month, I will find an excuse to give my wife a raise to compensate her and restore my image. By the way, the raise in salary brought me back to my senses. I finally understood that I seemed to be able to hear my boss's inner thoughts all of a sudden. Moreover, he actually called me wife. I panicked and broke free from the boss's hand. Yesterday was Sunday. I played too late with my best friend at night, so I couldn't get up this morning. Afraid of being late and losing my full attendance bonus, I rode a little yellow bike and rushed all the way to the downstairs of the company. As a result, I didn't notice the boss who was parking beside me. I directly hit the front of the Maybach. Then, I started hearing those voices in my head. I smiled awkwardly at the boss. "It's okay, boss. There's no need to go to the hospital. It's just that your car was damaged by me." Enzo, no need to compensate. I looked up at Enzo. Enzo also realized that he answered a bit too quickly. Under my gaze, he touched the tip of his nose with his hand. Did I show it too obviously? Will my wife find out that I have a crush on her? Alas, my wife ran out of my arms before I could hold her for a while. My road to chasing my wife is long and difficult. I was speechless. The boss who is cold and talks little in my heart has so many inner thoughts. Moreover, boss, let's just say, you haven't even chased me yet. Can you stop calling me wife one by one? I feel that the world has gone crazy. Enzo raised his hand and looked at his watch, pretending to be very busy. It's okay. It's just a car. I still have to meet a client later. I'll leave first. If there's anything, come to my office at any time. As Enzo finished speaking, his inner thoughts came again. No, I have to leave quickly. My wife is so cute. If I stay any longer, I'm afraid I won't be able to resist wanting to kiss her. Is it illegal to force a kiss? Will I be regarded as a hooligan? If I kiss her now and then run away, can my wife with her short legs catch up with me? I really want to try. You are the one with short legs. Your whole family has short legs. I looked at Enzo defensively, afraid that he would really come over and force a kiss on me. I quickly said, "Okay, boss. Go and be busy." Enzo nodded and turned and sat back in the car. My wife hasn't left yet. Let me show off a perfect parallel parking. I'm so awesome. Wife, praise me. I silently pulled up my little yellow bike from the ground and fled the scene. In the afternoon, the secretary asked me to deliver documents to the boss's office. With a nervous heart, I walked to the door of the office. Just as I was about to raise my hand to knock on the door, I heard the boss's chattering inner thoughts coming into my mind. Pose in a cooler posture and strive to make my wife be stunned by my handsomeness when she comes in later. So slow. Why hasn't she come yet? It must be that the secretary is too inefficient. I'll deduct her salary later. Oh, find an excuse to take my wife to eat later? This little girl is so silly and naive. Why doesn't she have any ulterior motives? You said being an employee is so tiring. Being the boss's wife is so much better. Waiting and waiting for my wife. Ahem. My back is a bit itchy. Secretly scratch it. I was amused by Enzo. To avoid being discovered by him, I knocked on the office door. And then my mind was filled with, she's coming. She's coming. Wife is coming. Really? So noisy. Enzo spoke in a cool tone. Come in. I pushed open the door and found Enzo sitting in front of the desk, with one hand propping up his forehead, and the other holding a pen and writing and drawing. He looked very serious. Is this the pose he's making? I suppressed a smile and delivered the documents to Enzo. Enzo, she's coming. She's coming. She's coming over. Who you? Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. Boss. Secretary's son asked me to deliver these documents. Enzo nodded and took the pen and repeatedly signed his name on a blank piece of paper without looking sideways. After seeing it, I deliberately asked him, Boss, are you practicing your signature? Enzo was stunned and embarrassed. I put away the pen. What am I doing? Why didn't I pretend to be looking at documents? So embarrassing. What was I going to do originally? Right. I want to invite her to eat. But how can I ask her without being obvious? So annoying. Forget it. Don't make it difficult for him. I smiled and said, Boss, do you want to invite me to eat? Enzo's eyelids trembled, and he looked up at me stiffly. I felt that he was extremely nervous. Even his earlobes were slowly turning red. I haven't said anything yet? How does she know that I want to take her to eat? Does it say it on my forehead? Does it show what I'm thinking? How should I answer now? Why did my wife suddenly ask this? Or did she accidentally let it slip when she wanted to invite me to eat? Pooh. Enzo. Don't be so narcissistic. How could she want to invite you to eat? She will only call you a stupid boss and say you are oppressing me. Boss. You don't have to have such a perfect self-awareness. After all, I only scolded you like this when I was working overtime. Enzo silently picked up the pen and put it in the pen holder. Then he crumpled the piece of white paper full of signatures into a ball and threw it into the trash can. Then he stood up, forced himself to be calm and walked up to me. Well, is there anything you want to eat? Huh? Why did you admit it? Boss? I was just teasing you. If you admit it, don't I have to really go to eat with you? I'm not ready yet. No. What preparations do I need? Enzo looked at me with a conflicted expression. His rich inner thoughts began to perform again. Why doesn't she speak? Doesn't she want to eat with me? Woo. Sure enough. My wife is not interested in me. Otherwise, she would definitely say yes. Yes. What shall we eat? Last time she was like this with Kaya. She also held Kaya's arm. Alas. When will she hold my arm and go to eat? No. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. Tomorrow I will send Kaya on a business trip. One that lasts a month and she can't come back. So sad. Why doesn't my wife love me? Did I harm Kaya? Or should I fire Kaya? If she doesn't have a lunch partner, will she only be able to eat with me in the future? Enzo. Stop it. For Kaya's job. I quickly said. Yes, boss. Let's eat hot pot. The world is beautiful. It's extremely beautiful. Tomorrow I will give Kaya a raise. No, I will give everyone a raise. Enzo nodded and showed a not-so-skilled smile. But it can be seen that he is in a good mood. So easily satisfied? After work, I came alone to the hot pot restaurant we agreed on in front of Enzo. Enzo was already sitting in a seat by the window and started putting dishes into the hot pot. He changed out of the suit he often wore at work. Wearing casual clothes made him look much younger. I slowly walked forward. As the distance got closer, Enzo's inner thoughts began to come into my mind more and more clearly. Before my wife comes, I will cook all the little meats she likes so that when she comes, she can eat directly. After she finishes one, I will cook another. I will feed her until she is full. But then again, why doesn't my wife want to come with me from the company? Alas. Does she think I'm embarrassing and lose face if my colleagues see us? It seems that I have to work harder to become a good man worthy of my wife. I couldn't help but smile and quicken my steps and walked in. Enzo soon saw me. He raised his chin and waved slightly at me. Here. Inner thought. My dear wife is running towards me. She is so beautiful. After sitting down, Enzo calmly handed me a cup of freshly poured coconut milk. But his slightly trembling fingers could tell that he was very nervous. Relax. Relax. Enzo. You relax. For our first date, you must not mess up. I picked up the coconut milk and took a sip, looking at Enzo with interest. Boss, you seem very nervous? Enzo was obviously startled by my words. Even his hand holding the chopsticks and picking up food for me trembled more obviously. Yes. Yes. My ass. Enzo. Is there something wrong with your brain? Why did you admit it? Woo. Will my wife look down on me? Will she laugh at me? Will she think that a pure boy like me is not suitable for dating and then ignore me? I'm crying to death. No. I have to bypass this topic. Eat hot pot. Right. Hurry up and eat hot pot. Use the meats to attract my wife's attention. Enzo kept taking out the cooked meats, meatballs, and vegetables from the pot and putting them into my bowl. Eat. They are all cooked. Looking at the bowl in front of me, that was almost piled up like a small mountain, I felt 3 black lines appear on my forehead. Are you raising pigs? Feeding me like this? Enough. Boss. I quickly stopped Enzo's hand that was still taking out food. Enzo was stunned. After seeing my bowl, he embarrassedly withdrew his hand. Am I raising pigs? Why did I put so much food in my wife's bowl? Woo. Have my impression points been deducted again? Life is not worth it. Why am I not the one being cooked in the hot pot? So cruel. I couldn't help but interrupt him. Thanks, boss. These are all my favorites. My wife said she likes them. Life is worth it. I can't lie in the hot pot. I can't dirty the soup base. Keep cooking dishes for my wife. Enzo started cooking dishes again. Then eat more. Enzo is the only son of our company's original boss. The original boss took the boss's wife to travel around the world and left the company to Enzo to manage. Enzo is young and capable, coupled with his astonishingly handsome face. He is actually admired by many female employees, including me. But to be honest, it's more admiration. I never thought that I could have a story with the boss. Enzo is serious and very aloof, except for work-related issues. We basically can't say a word to him. It was beyond my expectation that he had a crush on me. In the future, when I have a chance, I must ask him why he likes me. After eating hot pot, Enzo said he would take me home. This time I didn't refuse and walked with him to the parking lot. My wife agreed to let me take her. She must not dislike me that much anymore. On the parking space, a brand new BMW M5 was parked there. Enzo thoughtfully opened the passenger door and invited me to get in. Wife, get in quickly. This is your exclusive passenger seat. After getting in the car, I casually asked, Boss, what about your car from this morning? Enzo stared straight ahead and drove. It's sent for maintenance. That broken car hit my wife. I sent it for scrapping this afternoon. Thinking of what Enzo was thinking in the morning, I looked at him in disbelief. Boss, are you serious? The next day, as usual, I rushed to work in a panic. There were only a few minutes left, but the elevator was already full of people. In the last few days, I can't let my full attendance bonus fly away. Looking at my phone, I gritted my teeth and was about to climb the stairs. It's only on the 23rd floor. It won't kill me. In the next second, the president's exclusive elevator not far away opened. Enzo stood inside and waved at me. Come here. I have some things to ask you. Find an excuse to call my wife into the elevator. Then we can be alone. With her thin arms and legs, she still wants to climb the stairs. Does she want to break my heart? I didn't be pretentious. Under the gaze of some colleagues behind me, I quickly stepped into the elevator and stood side by side with Enzo. Oh no. I feel like I'm going to die. Why is my heart beating more and more vigorously? Will it explode? If I faint now, will my wife be scared? Will she give me mouth-to-mouth resuscitation? Suddenly I really want to try. Thinking of this, Enzo suddenly tilted his head and looked at the ground behind him, as if looking for a suitable place to lie down. I involuntarily took 2 steps back and wanted to reach out and catch Enzo. Enzo looked at me. We looked at each other. The atmosphere was very awkward. What is my wife doing? Want to hug me? Hug. Huh. Come and hug. I silently withdrew my hand and turned my head aside, avoiding his gaze. Boss, what do you want to ask me? Enzo, why don't you hug? Reimbursement. Right. Ask Kaya why she didn't reimburse the expense for her business trip last time. I was so scared. I was so scared. I actually wanted to ask my wife why she didn't hug me. I almost let it slip. I actually managed to cover it up. I'm so smart. I nodded while suppressing a smile. Okay, boss. Enzo called me to his office and said there were some documents for me to handle. But in fact, he just wanted to spend more time with me. He asked me to sit on the high-end sofa in the office and hold some important documents. Doing nothing. He asked Secretary Sun to bring me coffee, snacks, and a fruit plate. He adjusted the air conditioner to a suitable temperature, thoughtfully placed a pillow behind my waist, and a neatly folded blanket at the edge of the sofa. It's a cute pattern I like. Enzo sat at the desk not far away, and worked seriously, occasionally looking up at me. He let me watch a movie and rest with the tablet next to me if I felt tired. Don't be restrained. I took a sip of the coffee on the table. I can be considered to have experienced the happiness of being the boss's wife in advance. I have finished handling the documents that Enzo gave me. Enzo asked me to wait for him for a while. When he was done, he would come and check the details with me. I really had nothing to do. I picked up the tablet on one side, and was about to find a movie to watch. My thumb accidentally touched the album. A photo of me in elementary school suddenly popped up on the screen. In the photo, there was also a boy standing next to me. What's going on? How does Enzo have a photo of me and someone else? I stared at the boy in the photo and thought for a while. This seemed to be a classmate I met when I transferred to a noble school because of my father's work when I was in the 2nd grade of elementary school. Later, because the tuition was too expensive, my parents transferred me again. I looked up at Enzo not far away. An idea popped into my head. Enzo wouldn't be this little boy. Would he? Enzo was still working with his head down, but his peripheral vision had already noticed that I was looking at him. Is my wife looking at me? I don't know if my current posture is handsome. Should I look up casually and have a deep gaze with her? So nervous. I can't focus on work anymore. I really want to be close to my wife. I smiled and asked him, Boss, I always feel that you look very familiar. Have we met before? Enzo's eyes suddenly wide, and he turned to look at me in disbelief. You remembered? Not only have we met, you also promised me that you would marry me when you grow up. You said that whoever bullies me again in the future, you will pull down their pants and put them on their heads. Woo woo woo. Then you left. And they came to bully me again. Wife. Go and pull down their pants. No. Can't pull. Can't pull. Or pull down mine. Bully you? Pull down pants? Enzo. Don't ruin my reputation. When was I so fierce? Why didn't I know? Covering my face. I didn't remember it before. Now I remember. I showed Denzo the photo on the tablet. I didn't expect you still have this photo. Little cry baby. Enzo's pen fell to the ground. There was a wail in his heart. Little cry baby? Why does she still remember this nickname? Is my heroic image gone? Gone? Actually, I didn't remember it very clearly at first. Thanks to those few words in Enzo's heart. Enzo was very delicate looking when he was in elementary school. Fair and clean. Like a little girl. So he was always bullied by some boys. On the day I transferred schools, he was standing by the window alone and secretly wiping tears. Since I was a child, I was a face control. I saw the good-looking Enzo at a glance. To get close to him, I ran over and talked to him. Why are you crying here alone? Enzo, because they all bully me. Who bullies you? Tell me. I'll go and pull down their pants, and put them on their heads. See if they still dare to bully you. Enzo, thank you. But the teacher said it's not polite. You still know it's not polite? Little cry baby. Later. On the day I transferred schools. Enzo cried so hard. He insisted on taking this photo with me. Enzo's earlobes started to turn red again. He turned his head aside, and coughed softly twice. I was young and ignorant back then. I don't cry easily anymore now. So, wife, don't call me little cry baby anymore. This name is so embarrassing. It's simply my dark history. If I hear you call me that again next time, I'll cry for you. I blinked. I know. Boss. Just at this moment, the secretary knocked on the office door. It seemed that a business partner was coming to discuss a contract. I said goodbye from Enzo's office and returned to my workstation. A few days later, it was weekend again. My best friend called me out to play again. She said she had a new boyfriend and wanted me to see him. I was curious and hurried to the appointed place. I wanted to see what kind of young man could win over my single best friend. In the next second, I saw Enzo and my best friend sitting face to face at the dining table. What's going on? Enzo, you said you loved me yesterday. Today you become my best friend's boyfriend? You scumbag. I angrily went forward and wanted to pull my best friend away, so that she wouldn't be harmed by Enzo. Then I bumped into a boy coming this way at the dining table. It hurts. Hiss. Why is it even more painful than hitting a Maybach? I subconsciously looked up at Enzo. Enzo frowned and forgot to react for a moment. Wife? This thing sitting on the ground seems to be my wife? Oh my. Who put my wife on the ground? Enzo suddenly stood up and then squatted down to help me. On the other side, my best friend pushed away the boy and came to help me on the other arm. Baby. Are you okay? The boy who pushed me also squatted down belatedly. I'm sorry. It was a reflex. Under the gaze of the people around, the four of us looked at each other. So what's the situation now? Stand up first. Enzo pulled me up. My best friend quickly brought a stool and let me sit down. The boy who pushed me stood aside with his head down, looking like a child who made a mistake. I looked at my best friend and pointed at the boy. Don't tell me he is your boyfriend. Enzo, that's right. It's him. He dared to push my wife. When we go back, I'll beat him up. Beat him until he is like my scrapped Maybach. I'm so angry. I'm so angry. My wife must have fallen and it hurts. The corners of her eyes are red. She's about to cry. Woo woo woo. Enzo silently glared at the boy. Little trash. You are not my brother anymore. My best friend nodded carefully and quickly asked me not to be angry. I'm not really angry. It just hurts a bit. But Enzo seems very angry. So he came out with his brother. I shook my head to show that I wasn't angry. By the way, I turned my head and whispered to Enzo, it's okay. I don't hurt. Enzo, inner thought, then PH. I don't believe it. So cute. Later, The four of us sat on chairs with a drink in each hand and chatted casually. My best friend winked at me. Baby. What do you think of my boyfriend's brother? He is also single. Why don't you two make a couple? I think you two look very compatible. Yes, I also think we are very compatible. If you can talk well, then say more. Enzo pretended to take a sip of coffee and remained silent, but his brother came over and interrupted. No, I have someone I like. She is a little employee in their company. I like her very much. I'm always discussing with our brothers about how to chase someone and how to fall in love. This time, I came here to learn. He is going to make a move on that little employee soon. Enzo. Shut up. This big mouth. My wife is right beside me. It's over. It's over. It's over. I was almost choked by the cake I just stuffed into my mouth. I quickly picked up my drink and turned my head to drink. His brother was still laughing. Look. He's still shy. My best friend was very interested in this and pestered her boyfriend to continue. Then, which company is Enzo from? Jiang's group in our city. Really? So mysterious. My best friend realized and turned to look at me. Baby. I remember you are also working at Jiang's group, right? I nodded silently. Her boyfriend immediately came over. So coincidental. Then aren't you also Enzo's employee? Let Enzo promote you someday. Oh right. The person Enzo likes. That little employee in your company. Named Mary. Right? Do you know her? My best friend. I know. Enzo had no expression. Let the world be destroyed. My carefully prepared confession died before it was even born. It's ruined. It's all ruined. I want to kill this big mouth. Aha! His brother noticed that the atmosphere was not right and carefully asked, "Why are you all silent?" I smiled slightly, "Because I am Mary." Well, now his brother is also silent. 10 minutes later. My best friend took Enzo's big mouth brother and ran away, leaving me and Enzo sitting next to each other in silence. What should I do? What should I say now so that my wife won't be scared away? A secret love suddenly became an open love. I'm suddenly not used to it. So awkward. Why doesn't my wife speak either? Woo. Is she thinking about finding an excuse to leave? I took a sip of my drink and turned to look at him. Your brother and my best friend have left. Should we leave too? Look. Sure enough. She wants to leave. Enzo pursed his lips. Anyway. It's the weekend. Do we want to go somewhere to play? Huh? My wife agreed. She agreed to go on a date with me. Where should I take her later? Let me think. Go to the movies? There are too many people in the cinema. Will it be too obvious if I book the whole place? Escape room? No. I'm afraid of the dark. If my wife finds out later, she will definitely laugh at me. Amusement park? Also no. My wife seems to be afraid of heights. Then there won't be much to play. So annoying. So annoying. Or should I take my wife home? Then we can Calm down. Enzo. What are you thinking? It's not taking her home for that. Then what am I taking her home for? Keep thinking. I'm curious. But Enzo stopped thinking and asked me, "Do you have any place you want to go?" I was absent-minded. Your home. Curiosity killed the cat. The two words that blurted out shocked both me and Enzo. Enzo immediately lowered his head and took out his phone and typed a bunch. The driver will be here soon. Let's go and wait for him at the exit. Well, it's too late. I resignedly nodded. I have to trust him. Enzo took me to a room in his house. There are some game equipment inside. Well, he wants to take me back to play 3D horror games. Why am I inexplicably a little disappointed? Enzo and I put on 3D glasses together. We instantly seemed to be in a gloomy and terrifying ancient house. So dark. So terrifying. I'm so scared. Woo woo. I'm the one who is both weak and loves to play. I can't be cowardly. I want to lead my wife through the levels. When I see a ghost, I will close my eyes. Right. Closing my eyes means I can't see anything. I want to protect my wife. I want to. Ghost. 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 Enzo threw the controller to the ground. He seemed really scared. I groped my way to Enzo's side and grabbed his hand. What's wrong? Boss? Are you okay? Enzo, I'm fine. I accidentally dropped the controller because my hand slipped. I'll pick it up. Let's continue. My wife is holding my hand. She is holding my hand. What's so scary about ghosts? I can beat 10 now. No, 100. Just as Enzo thought. He bravely led me to beat ghosts and pass levels all the way. We played until it got dark before sitting on the sofa satisfied. So exciting. So exciting. Enzo reached out and tucked my stray hair behind my ear. He took out his phone and asked me if there was anything I wanted to eat. He asked the nanny to buy it. After I casually reported a few dish names, I quietly turned to look at Enzo. There was some fine sweat on his forehead. It made Enzo's skin look fair. It looked extremely delicious. I really want to kiss him. Enzo suddenly turned to look at me. His eyes were wide open. He looked very shocked. What's wrong with him? I tentatively asked. What's wrong? Enzo, what's 1-1? I, too? Did he break his brain while playing games? Enzo, do you think there's something wrong with my brain? Huh? How does he know? Enzo, are you thinking why I know everything? You? Enzo nodded. Yes, I seem to be able to hear your inner thoughts suddenly. This is quite mysterious. It can't be explained by science. I don't understand metaphysics either. It just feels very magical. First, I could suddenly hear Enzo's inner thoughts. Now Enzo can also hear my inner thoughts. It's like we are stripped naked and are seen clearly inside and out by each other. But he still doesn't know that I can also hear his inner thoughts. He is still thinking about how to use this to successfully chase me. Thinking about it. He suddenly thought of the first inner thought he heard from me. I really want to kiss. Wait. Did my wife just want to kiss me? I should not have heard wrong. Right? My face flushed instantly. But I also admitted it. Just not by speaking. You didn't hear wrong. Enzo had a complicated expression. Are you talking to me? Can you also hear my inner thoughts? When did you start being able to hear them? The day I accidentally hit the Maybach. Enzo seemed to recall his inner activities during this period. He turned his head and smiled at me. He looked rather resigned. So embarrassing. I want to commit suicide. I tentatively asked. Then. No kissing? No kissing? Enzo suddenly leaned over and pressed me onto the sofa. Face to face with me. The hot breath hit the tip of my nose, making me itchy. Don't even think about it. I was kissed by Enzo like this. After kissing, he sat back in his original position and cleared his throat symbolically. Mary, I like you. What about you? Do you like me? I nodded with a blushing face. I also like you. Enzo was very happy. Mary, once you say it, you are not allowed to go back on your word. I won't go back on my word. Then are you my girlfriend now? Listen to my inner thoughts. After Enzo said this sentence, I felt that my face was so red that it was about to bleed. Because immediately after, a sentence came into my mind. Not enough kissing. Wife, let's kiss again. Later, I asked Enzo when he started to like me. I wanted to ask this question since the day I heard Enzo's inner thoughts. I leaned in Enzo's arms and listened to him tell me. Very early. As early as the second grade of elementary school. From the first time we met. When you said you would help me pull down the pants of those who bullied me, and put them on their heads. I thought this little girl was so cute. She was pink and chubby. She was so brave. When I grow up, I must marry her and let her protect me. But unfortunately, you transferred schools soon. After you transferred schools, at such a young age, I actually felt that the sky was falling. I didn't want you to leave at all. Later, I kept trying to find you. From my childhood to adulthood. Until I took over the company. Do you know? Actually, it's really hard to find someone. The world is just so big. But no matter what method I use, I can't find you. Fortunately, in the end, God couldn't bear it, and let us meet. Fortunately, you are still in the city and work in my company. Otherwise, I might really end up alone forever. After Enzo finished speaking, his hand holding me tightened. Then he asked me, "What about you, Mary? When did you start to like me?" I thought for a while and said, "Not as early as you. Just when I saw you at the company." Enzo, do you think this boss, am quite handsome? Yes. Little face control. Since Enzo knew that I could hear his inner thoughts that night, I have never heard his rich inner drama again, and he doesn't call me wife anymore. I asked him angrily, "Why are we becoming more distant after falling in love? Did you stop loving me after you got me?" Enzo helplessly covered his face. "Mary, give me a break. It was so embarrassing before. I have a thin skin and I'm shy." I put my hands on my hips and pretended to be angry. "You weren't shy when you called me wife one by one before. Forgive me." "Huh? Forgive me? Wife?" Well, I forgave Enzo. Happily, I got on his car and went to work at the company. I was still thinking about how to have a secret office romance with Enzo. As soon as I sat down at my workstation, a group of colleagues surrounded me. I looked at them blankly. "What's wrong?" Kaya grabbed my shoulder and was extremely excited. "Mary." "You hit it deep enough. Tell me, when did you hook up with the boss? How did my dear colleague become my boss's wife?" "I haven't done anything yet." "How did it get exposed so quickly?" "How do you know?" Kaya immediately handed me her phone. The page was our company's big group. A few minutes ago, Enzo sent several big red envelopes in a row. He also said that he was happy recently, and would give everyone a raise at the end of the month. Colleagues began to leave messages one after another and ask the boss what happy thing had happened. During the weekend, I fell in love. "Enzo, my WeChat ID. Introduce. This is your boss's wife." It seems that this office romance of mine is destined to be impossible to keep secret. Listening to my colleagues' blessings, I smiled and took out my phone and replied in the group, "Hello everyone. Hello, boss's wife." A little side story. When Enzo's dad told Enzo that he was going to travel around the world with his wife and asked Enzo to take over the company, Enzo was very reluctant. For this reason, he was nagged by his mother for dozens of days for being unfilial, until he saw me in the company. As usual, I overslept. With a meat bun in my mouth and soy milk in my hand, I rushed past him in a hurry. At the first sight of me, Enzo recognized me. So the next day, he bought plane tickets for his parents and personally sent them to the airport. Then he became the new boss of our company and planned how to get close to me first. Now, he has succeeded.